Hi, I'm Davey from MKDVB, and today we're going to mangle some sounds using the Elektron Monomachine and the Moog Matriarch purely as FX synths. So I'm working on this track called Winter's Port, and it's a study in FX, really just trying to get a better grasp, a better handle on the FX that I have available to me on my current boxes. And so the foundation of the track is a sequence from the Moog Matriarch, and here's what it sounds like. You can hear like I'm turning up the delay mix on that, so the oscillators and the filter sounds are kind of receding into the background. So this is basically the foundation of Winter's Port, the track I'm working on. And I wanted to really mangle it and send it into a different kind of state, I guess. So I put it into the Monomachine. First thing I did was let's see here, I put it through a track, an FX through track. So basically all that does is just get the audio into the Monomachine. And then from there, I'm kind of really not messing with the amplifier portion of it too much, but I do filter it quite a bit. So I have, you can see here, the width, which is really like the low pass filter, is pretty far down, and I have a high resonance on it as well. I've also turned up the high pass filter a little bit, which they call bass, just to kind of get rid of any low end rumble. In the context of a track, you don't want too much low end building up. I also have a I have a negative filter here on the low pass filter, and a little bit of attack and decay. So, and then from there, I kind of EQ also maybe the mud out of the sound as well. And I've got some delay settings dialed in, but for there's no delay being sent. I think there's a couple triggers on the track that I have triggered the delay, but it's not going on as a matter of course. And then one of the things about the Monomachine sequencer is that it's a bit more primitive compared to some of the newer Elektron sequencers now. And what I really miss is that it doesn't have like probabilities or kind of a way to kind of do a generative type of sequencing. So if you want that, you kind of have to fake it a little bit. And what I've done here is I'm sending a square wave LFO to the volume of the track to kind of basically turn it on and off. It's always, the LFOs are always synced to the sequencer, so it's very regular, this on and off sound. I do have irregular triggers, as you can see there, so they're not all triggering on the same kind of beat of the measure. So that adds a little bit of randomness to it. And I also have sent a second LFO triggering, targeting the speed of the first LFO to kind of make it a little bit more irregular. And from there, I also do a filter on I send an LFO to the filter's attack. And I decided I wanted a little bit more. And so what I did was I took this third track from the Monomachine here, and I also fed it to another track, which is a ring mod on track 4 here of the Monomachine. And this one only triggers at the beginning of every measure. And here's what it sounds like. So I went ahead and routed the output of the Monomachine into the Matriarch. And originally I had just routed it straight into the delay, which if you see my past videos, you know how much I'm in love with this delay here. But I decided I wanted more ability to transform the sound, so I routed it into the mixer instead. And what I've done is I've sent the left and right output from the Monomachine into oscillator 1 here, and also into noise. And there's a reason why I sent it to noise and not oscillator 2, any of the other oscillators. I'll tell you why in a second. But so the Monomachine output is just going into there, and what I have also done is I have it in 2 voice mode and split. I've got some filter settings on it with some spacing, resonance, and a little bit of envelope. And I've also changed the different envelope settings here. I kind of discovered this neat little trick that if I had it in drone mode and I turn on the oscillator here, it's a little loud there, but I could get some of the Matriarch's oscillators into the action as well. And what I did was I have it on sync here, and then I've routed some random LFO action into, well, so what I've done is I've patched some randomness into the LFO, and then I'm using the LFO section here to change the pitch of oscillators 2 and 4. So that's what's causing the sync to really get some really awesome kind of just rippling sounds there. And what I discovered in drone mode was that I could play notes and I could turn them off, and even in drone mode, because I have it in 2 voice mode, so it's triggering. So that's the second voice, and then if I trigger it again, it'll turn off the second voice and just turn on the first voice. So that's how I get to. So once I discovered that, I put it in the split mode and I sequenced the on-off here via the Monomachine's MIDI sequence here. And so I've got it on an arpeggiator, which is kind of, you know, well, it's probably a little bit more complicated than we need to get into for the purposes of this video. But anyways, I'm sequencing these oscillators via the Monomachine, and so here's what that sounds like. You know, I had this whole idea of winter sport and this kind of ship in kind of rocky waters looking for port. And, you know, so what do you need? What would be perfect for that but some windy noise sounds. So what I did was I patched noise into oscillator 2. And because it's sequenced, it should be triggered by the Monomachine, so it's not just running the whole time. And then, you know, while I was tracking this, I would just kind of play the oscillator 2, depending on if I wanted more wind or less wind. I kind of didn't really know where I was going when I started, but I'm kind of pretty happy with where it ended up. And if you want to hear the full track, go ahead and click on the link that's popped up. Pretty happy with it. Thanks to Matt Kretzman, my former bandmate, for the drum beat on that one. And I'll see you guys next time.